Previously on Super Exciting Outrageous Toy Review, Kevin was on a road trip with his buddies Dave and Nick in search of toys, on their way to the Kentuckiana GIJoe toy show. They stopped in New Dimension Comics in Pittsburgh, Big Fun in Columbus, Ohio, and Route 68 Vintage Toys in Xenia, Ohio. Our next stop was Mike's Vintage Toys in Dayton, Ohio. It was a neat little shop in a funky neighborhood across the street from a Goodwill and down the street from a store that sells unmentionables. I felt like this was the newest shop that we visited. Like, not all the displays were quite set up all the way. The area behind the register was kind of empty. But it was my understanding that this was a newer location for Mike. They had actually moved the store at one point. He was a lot of fun to talk to, telling us about people that would bring in collections and different things that had happened over the years, different, stories he had. The shop had a nice selection of GIJoe and other vintage 80s things. Nick found some Hot Wheels and other cars to check out. There were Transformers and Star Wars and just about anything else you could imagine. I've been needing a Sneak Peeks microphone for a while. I found a really nice, clean Sneak Peek at Mike's shop and decided to pick it up. One, it gets me the microphone. Two, it gets me a really clean figure, and I think there might be some paint wear on the one in my collection. I've got the rest of his accessories, which, I'll have to trade off to somebody at some point, because I mostly had a Sneak Peek. But this kind of finishes him off for my collection. And he's a figure I had as a kid, so it's nice to have him complete once again. Big Bear is an October Guard ally to the GIJoes. He's a figure I've been needing accessories for quite some time, so I took advantage of finding one at a good price that's in great shape, and now I've got a complete weapon set for him. Like many 90s figures, this Desert Trooper Duke, that was part of Battle Corps, comes with a ton of accessories that originally released on a weapons tree. It's a pain to track down all these accessories, and so when I saw a chance to pick up a complete set with this figure, I had to snatch them up to give me a complete version of Duke. This is actually the second wetsuit I picked up on the trip. This guy's got no elbow cracks, so that's a good thing. As I mentioned in part 1, Wetsuit's mouthpiece is getting harder and harder to find, and I found a couple at good prices along the way. I picked them up, so hopefully I can use them as trade fodder to get other things I need. I don't do this a whole lot, but I definitely felt the collector mentality, the looking for a deal to possibly upgrade kind of thing that I kind of try and stay away from. I try and only buy stuff I need, but there just was a lot of that, that vibe in the air on this trip and at the show, so if I saw something that I thought I could get good value out of, I did occasionally pick up things I didn't really need. My final purchase from Mike's Vintage was the Star Brigade Starfighter. This was the one Joe spaceship basically made for a whole space sub-team. The ship's complete, came with the pilot with his equipment. I kind of wanted this for a little while. I'm not a die-hard fan of the vehicle, but I just think it's so funny that this one-man craft is the whole basis of this Joe sub-team. They didn't re-release the Defiant or the Crusader in any way for their space-themed line. This one little ship is all they've got. While in Dayton, Ohio, we also swung by the Toy Fan Attic. This was another shop in the same city. This one had a little bit more of an Antiques Mall vibe to it. A little bit wider variety of things. The stuff in the store ranged in age a little bit more. There were some older items. And I just didn't quite feel like the stuff was priced to move quite as much. Everything I picked up from Toy Fan Attic was Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat related. I picked up Sonic Boom Guile from the Street Fighter Movie Edition figures. Has the Jean-Claude Van Damme style head and came with a mess of GIJoe Ninja Force weapons. It's nice to see a Guile with the tank top and dog tags. He didn't end up with American flag tattoos on his arm, and the waist construction on him is pretty terrible, unfortunately. He does have an action feature built into him with the Sonic Boom action I can get out of him by squeezing his legs together. I picked up the Movie Edition E Honda figure. He seems to be much harder to find than the one that wears blue that came in the GIJoe line. He comes with a smattering of Ninja Force weapons again. This figure's not officially part of the G.I. Joe toy line because he's a movie edition fighter. He has an action feature built into him, but just like all of the regular release E-Hondas I find, I can't lock his leg back. The kick works, the spring is still in there, but it was supposed to click so he could stand, I believe. It's really hard to get him to balance, otherwise he pretty much has to lean over, because that leg always wants to be in that raised kick position. I picked up two versions of Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat. The one in the black pants uses Road Pig's torso, and the legs come from dice. Even though these aren't G.I. Joe figures, Hasbro reused a lot of G.I. Joe parts. The thing that I find most interesting about the purple pants version is that he reuses a whole bunch of parts from the never-released G.I. Joe Ninja Commandos. My last purchase from Toy Fan Addict was a movie edition Sonya Blade. The regular one wore a green Jinx outfit. This one wears a black Jinx outfit and has boots from another figure to give her a more combat-ready look. I had one of these in my collection many, many years ago, but actually swapped her head for a Jinx head that I had painted black to make a Ninja Force Jinx. And ever since I did that, I have kind of missed having a movie edition Sonya Blade in my collection. The next stop on our trip was the House of Plastic in Cincinnati, Ohio. I had a really great time here. I felt like the owner was one of the most fun guys to talk to. We just had a really good time shooting the breeze and talking about our collections with him. It's the kind of place that if I lived nearby, I would go and hang out there, at least once a month or every other weekend, just to chit-chat and catch up. I picked up a new lowlight for my collection. The one I previously owned had a broken waist and really needed to be upgraded. So I found a nice figure with a complete weapon set and decided to just upgrade him on the spot. I picked up the 1998 Thunderwing. This is a repaint of Thunder. He was part of the Toys R Us line of figures in the late 90s. He came packaged with the Mobat, and I never had him because I didn't really get any of the vehicles from that line, but I've been slowly trying to pick up more of those vehicle drivers because it's kind of a cool hole in the collection I'd like to fill. It's sort of a forgotten era of the O-ring figures, but I think it was a big part of what turned me from someone that played with G.I. Joes as a kid to a collector of G.I. Joes in my adulthood. I got a missile for Ice Cream Soldier. My final purchase from the House of Plastic. Darklon, still sealed in his little red bubble as he came packaged with his vehicle. I have a small collection of these bubble-sealed drivers, and even though Darklon's not really one of my favorites, I just took advantage of the opportunity seeing him and snagged him in the little bubble because I think they're cool. After the House of Plastic, we headed to the toy department, also in Cincinnati, Ohio. The toy department didn't necessarily have the most colorful displays or the most interesting shopkeeper, but it had the best and most amazing selection of just everything. This store was packed with stuff, rare stuff, prototypes, box stuff. I mean, it really was incredible. I snagged a set of Mask Party invitations for my friend Tony from RetroCon. I got a set of G.I. Joe glittery puffy stickers. I assume they're some sort of foreign release, although they do say 1987 Hasbro Inc. over here. There were multiple sets of these stickers with different characters on them. I thought they were fabulous, and I'm kind of kicking myself now for not buying one of every set. I really liked them. They weren't outrageously priced, but the cost adds up. We've been on this road trip, we've hit a lot of stores, and we still had the con to go. So I kind of picked up this pack, deciding it was my favorite because it had a lot of the 1985 poster art here with Snake Eyes doing the arm in the air, Airtight, and Bazooka. Some of the other sets were pretty cool, and Dave actually picked up a set of all of them, which, like I said, was probably a really good idea. Ah, these are French. The 1964 to 1994 commemorative collection, which were 3 3/4 inch G.I. Joes based on older 12-inch figures, aren't really figures I see at yard sales and flea markets very much. I don't think kids played with them. So I've been having a hard time getting complete weapon sets for these guys. I took advantage of a good price on these and picked up multiple commemorative collection figures I needed, which I plan to open. Here we have Action Marine, Action Sailor, and Action Pilot. The final stop of our trip before actually getting to the Kentuckiana Toy Show was Kokomo Toys in Kokomo, Indiana. This place is legendary. I've heard so much about it. They had an amazing selection of extremely rare things. Lots of boxed items, a ridiculous amount of pops, but also just really cool retro toys. But I thought the lighting was really bad. It made it hard to look at the things. The store was very dim. And the service was actually pretty terrible. So while I saw some really cool stuff, I really only walked away with one item. I looked at several Power Ranger villains while I was at Kokomo Toys. I settled on Divatox. She's the main villainess from Power Rangers Turbo. I'm pretty excited to have her, but now I know Hasbro will probably announce her in the Lightning Collection immediately, and I won't really care that much that I have this vintage version anymore. That's just my luck. I don't know, maybe they won't announce her. But I did think she was pretty cool, and I wanted to make sure I got at least one thing from every store we visited on the trip. Thanks for watching this super exciting, outrageous tour review. Make sure to check back for part 3, where I talk about the actual Kentuckiana Joe show that we went to, and my haul from that show. I found some great stuff.